Hello everybody, welcome to Visual Learning Portal where visuality conveys best. Today we are going to learn about electrical charge, static electricity, current and voltage. So let's learn about the basic definitions regarding these words. You might have seen these words in many books and I am going to tell you about the basic definitions which are related to these today. Okay, so let's start. So first we have electric charge. So with the word electric, it straightway comes to our mind something related to the electric fields or the electricity, something kind of thing like the bulbs, the fans or something like that. So what is a charge? Charge from this one straightway comes in the mind an electric charge having a positive or a negative charge which are in the atoms or in the nucleus, something like that. So let's learn the basic definition. Electric charge is the physical property of the matter that causes it to experience a force when placed in an electromagnetic field. So from the word electromagnetic, you can easily see here electromagnetic means electric and magnetic field. From the word electro, it's electric, and from the word magnetic, magnetic is magnetic field. Okay. So charge is the elementary charge, is called the, taken as the symbol E, it's called the elementary charge. Although we like to consider the charge of an electron which is -1. So basically we consider the charge of an electron which revolve around the nucleus as -1 and we can take it as a negative. Okay. And similarly for the proton we taken as a positive and it has an elementary charge of +1 or -1 for the electron. And the charge of the proton is positive. It turns out to the actual charge of each is given in terms of the elementary charge. We call that charge as an elementary charge. So basically the name elementary means 1. E is the symbol for that and it is +E for the proton and -E for the electron, which is equal to 1E is 1.60 into 10 to the power -19 coulomb. So here C is for coulomb. So that's the charge of, that's the units for measuring the elementary charge or the charge. Okay. If an object gains the electrons, means if there are excessive electrons, if there are so many electrons gained by somebody, it becomes negatively charged. Means suppose if X is a body and it gains so many electrons, then there will be a negative charge on top of that body. Similarly, on the other hand, if an object gives away the electrons, mean it gives away electron, it has excessive electrons and it give away to, why they give away? To make themselves stable. It becomes a positively charged. Suppose it give away, then there will be a positive charge on top of that. Okay. So whatever the object it will be, if it lose the electrons, then it will have a, if it lose the electrons, it will have the positive, and if it gains the electrons, it will have the more, which is excessive negative charge on that object. Okay. Now let's do about electricity. So after the electric charge, the straightway comes thing in my mind is electricity. So what's that? Electricity is the flow of the electrons. When the electrons continuously flow in any object, that produce the electricity. So flow of electrons means flow of the negative charge. So continuously flow of the negative charge means the charge flow. Now electrons are there where the negative charge is. It continuously flow in one object and it produces the electricity. Charges negative flow from high voltage areas to the low voltage area. So from here we came to know one more word, voltage. We're going to do the definition of the voltage in our next slide. The presence of an electric charge means if there is an electric charge in something which can either positive or negative produce an electric field. If there are two different charges, as we are talking about a positive and negative, if both the charges are in one field, that field is called an electric field. So that's the basic definition of that as well. The movement of the electric charges means the movement of the electrons in an electric current. So here we have got one more word which is related, current, and produces a magnetic field. Whenever there is a movement of the charges, there is always a magnetic field also related to that. Where there is electric field, there is a magnetic field as well. So you can see here, there is a negative charge and there is a positive charge. So these are the two different ends of the battery which are connected with each other, and the bulb will glow because there is the formation of the electricity in this one. Similarly for this one, the arrow's flow shows the direction of the electrons movement, how the electrons move. So you can see from here, the arrow is going to this side, means here from the negative to the positive. So it flows from negative to positive. As the electrons, so easy to remember, as the electrons have the negative charge, and the movement means flow of electrons is the production of electricity. So when the electrons move from the negative to the positive charge, there is a production of electricity, and it helps with the battery. Like if there are two terminals of the battery, positive and negative, when the electrons flow from the negative terminal to the positive terminal, there is a production of the electricity. Okay. So what's next we have? Static electricity. Static electricity built up of changes that pass quickly to another object, from one object to another object. Okay. Objects can acquire a static electric charge through friction, conduction and induction. There are three processes. What is friction? When an object whose electrons are loosely held rub against another object. So the electrons in one object which are loosely held, means loosely packed electrons, when it held and rub against each other, when they will be rubbing against each other, there is a movement of the electrons from one object to the another object. What is conduction? When an object with an excess of electrons, means more electrons if an object has, touches a neutral object. Neutral means having no charge. So from here the word neutral means no charge. Okay. So when an object which has more electrons, it with an excess means more electrons touch, if it touch the other object which is having no charge, then there is a movement. This is called the process of conduction, and it produces a static electricity. Now the last one is induction. A neutral object acquires a charge from a charged object close by without contact being made. So basically, what is the difference between conduction and induction? In the conduction, there is a need to touch the charged object with the neutral object. But in the induction, there is no need to contact that. There is no need for the connection. It works without contact. It's just you need to make it more near to each other. A charged object and a neutral object get charged from the charged object when you place them near to each other. But there is no need of contact in induction. So there are three different processes with the help of which there can be a static electricity. Now let's learn about voltage. As we have seen the word voltage in there. So what is basically voltage? Voltage is like electrical pressure. So here the word is pressure. So just keep that in mind. If we talk about pressure or something, that means we are talking about voltage. That pushes, so in the pressure there is a push or the pull. Means some kind of force, there is a push and a pull, charges. So what basically voltage do? If there is an excessive voltage, it pushes the charges to move from one body to another body. Also, it is a force that pushes the current through the circuit. So voltage is only responsible for the movement of the charges from one body to another. Also, it pushes the electrons to move from one body to another and also move in the circuit. When the charges move in the circuit, there is a production of the current. Voltage is created by a chemical cell battery when it changes chemical energy to electrical energy. When we talk about the chemical energy means the energies in the batteries. So we can write here the energy in the batteries which is consumed in the batteries are called the chemical energy. We use the batteries for our cell phones, for our torch, for many other purposes to produce the electrical energy. By a generator, when it changes the mechanical energy to electrical energy. So basically in the process of the generators, there is a mechanical energy because mechanical process goes in the generator and it helps, that voltage helps to produce the electrical energy. It gives us light. So by the solar panels at home, when it changes light energy, the radiations which are coming from the sun to the electrical energy, the energy which is produced, which we use normally at homes or many other places. Okay. So that's the basic things about the voltage. Let's learn more about voltage. When a wire connects the terminal of a battery or generators, then the voltage will push and pull electrons through a conductor. So just remember, whenever there is a voltage, there is a push and a pull of the electrons. One terminal has extra electrons, that thus a negative charge. So means if there are excessive electrons, as I have discussed before as well, more electrons means there is a negative charge. The other terminal has a defect. Defect means less, means there are no more electrons or a less of electrons and thus a positive charge. Excess electrons too, if there are a body having excess electrons, that only give a push, the voltage give a push to those electrons to move from the excessive to the defect part. Electrons in the wire are pushed by the negative terminal and pulled by, so pull by the positive because they need more electrons, and pushed by the negative terminal through the wire. Different cells produce different voltages. The bigger the voltage supplied by the cell, the bigger the current. So just remember, they are completely rely on each other. Bigger the voltage, bigger the current. So easy to remember, bigger the voltage, bigger the current. Voltage is measured with the help of the device called the voltmeter. So this is very important. What is voltmeter? Voltmeter is a kind of device which helps to measure the voltages. The symbol for measuring the voltage is V and it is taken as like that. Okay, so voltmeter is normally the devices with the help of which we can measure the voltage. So that's the basic definition of the voltage. Now let's learn about current. Okay, so let's learn about electric current. Electric current is the flow of the charges through a wire or any conductor. So flow of the charges, as we talk about the flow of the electrons, measured in amperes, which has a symbol A. So you need to remember that it is a symbol A and it is drawn like that. And A is amps. Current is always the flow of electrons. So basically every time we need to talk about the flow of the electrons and the flow of the negative charge. What happens if we break the circuit? Think about that. If we break the circuit, of course we won't get an electricity, which is very important. Circuit, a closed conducting path. So closed path, loop needs to be closed. For the charges to flow, the wire must always be connected in a circuit. We measure the current using a device called an ammeter. So as the voltmeter, there is an ammeter. When measuring the current through a component, the ammeter is always connected in the series. Always you need to remember for this one that we need to connect the ammeter in the series if we need to measure the current in the same loop with that component. So you can see here the picture I have made, that's the kind of a filament or the bulb. This is an ammeter connected. This is the positive terminal of the battery and this is the negative terminal of the battery. The terminal which seems bigger in the battery, this is basically the battery symbol. The terminal which seems bigger is the positive terminal and the terminal which is negative is always the small terminal. And this is a variable resistor in here. Okay. Next is electric current. It is a continuous flow of the charges through a conductor. It is a measure of the amount of the electrical charge passing a point in a circuit every second. So every second it gets passed. The particles that carry the charge through the wires in a circuit are the negatively charged. So here I have drawn a picture for you how the charges pass. So you can see that, and also there is a flow of the electrons and the flow of the positive charge. So the green thing shows you the flow of the electrons. So you can see from here, this is a negative charge as I have told you, and this is a positive charge. And there is a flow of electrons from this to this loop. So basically it goes like that. Okay. And the flow of the positive charge is always the other way around, because the positive charge is towards this side. So it flows like this. And it goes like that. And it is a continuous process of doing that one. And if you see this one as well, if the circuit is not there, there won't be any current. So you can see this one more time here. So when the circuit is closed, there is a flow of electrons. So this is a negative charge. This is a positive. So from the negative terminal of the battery to the positive, and the bulb is lightning. That means the flow of electrons in there. Alright. So in this way, you can remember the things. Thanks for watching Visual Learning Portal.
Any questions? Comment below and we'll respond as soon as possible. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when we release new content. We'll keep posting as much as we can. Thanks for watching.